Welcome to the the Core Truth podcast. Today I've got Tristan Ahumada with us. Tristan is the ultimate entrepreneur, for sure. He's got his hand in so many things now, and he's doing so much to influence our real estate industry. I've been watching Tristan for years, and his growth, his imagination, his discipline, his kind of, I don't know what it is, but you're so engaging and you're so much fun to watch. And welcome. It's so great to have you on the Core Truth.
Thanks, man. I'm excited to be here. Tell me really quick, the idea of the Core Truth, where did that come from? Just really quick, so I know.
Well, I mean, it sounds hokey, believe it or not, but this is not believe it or not, a money-making scheme or anything like that. The Core Truth is more about kind of like my sharing what I think is important to young and experienced realtors, both top producers as well as beginning realtors, as well as managers, executives, business people. Some of the different truths that I've learned, some of the experiences that I've had over my 51-year career. I mean, there's very few people left it that have been in the industry. I think I'm actually 52 years now in the industry. And, I think that it gives me a unique perspective because, I was an agent, I was a manager, I was, executive, I was founded Telus Properties. Now I'm at Douglas Sullivan as president of the Western region. So I can just see the business from so many angles. And I think it's all about shortcutting, agents to success. How do we get them there if they don't have to go through everything we went through, if they're willing to listen and maybe avoid some mistakes. So that's kind of the idea behind it. And I hear a lot of coaching out there, to be honest with you. It is so ridiculous and nobody's calling out the coaches on it. And I think that's part of it too. It's just like, let's cut through and just get right to the truth.
Ooh, I like that.
That's the concept.
I like that concept.
That's my mission, that's my vision, and that's what it's all about.
I like it. Just cut right through the crap. Tell us what's working and show us that it's worked for you. I like that.
That's exactly right. So let's talk about you. How did you get started in real estate? How did you get into this crazy business?
Dude, out of Cal State Northridge, so local, right, to us. I graduated with a history degree, and I had two options: become a professor of history, which I didn't want to do. That's number one. Or do something else. And so in that process of thinking what I should do, my mom said I should really look into real estate because real estate agents drive nice cars. So I was like, yeah, I think they kind of do. I like that idea. And then the other one was law school. So I did both. Went into law school, got into real estate, and then real estate took off. And I was like, see you later, law school, because real estate is amazing. It's making me a lot of money. That's how I got started.
I know you did really, really well right out of the chute, which, for some of us, it takes like 10 years. You were pretty quick at getting up and going. What do you think was the key to that?
My background through high school and college, I was a telemarketer. So in LA, the San Fernando Valley, I was calling up people trying to sell them ink cartridges and windows and all these other things in between. And so that really got me into the whole rhythm of talking to people about selling them something and just really the psychology of selling. And so when I came into real estate, I sat down and they said, oh, by the way, you have to call people and you have to go and knock on doors. I'm like, wait, what? I've been doing this for years. So I just jumped right into it. I chose door knocking and I chose cold calling to start. And I did very well with both of them. And then I threw in open houses. And then 3 months later, I closed my 3 first transactions all on the same day. And I thought, I'm rich. I am rich. I told my wife, because I was already married. I got married at 19. I was like, honey, we're rich. And she's like, yeah. It was like three checks in a day when you thought graduating out of college and getting a job that would pay you $65,000 a year would be amazing. I mean, it's a whole different world.
You made that in a day. I love it, or more than that in a day.
Yeah.
You know, prospecting, and we'll just touch on this briefly, is the name of the game, and the power is in the lead. Now, you have found other ways to get leads now that are quite incredible. We're going to dig into that a little bit.
Yeah.
But seriously, if you have the lead, you have the power. And so many people don't understand that, and they're not willing to do what it takes to find leads. But that's really the key, I think. That would be a core truth.
Yeah, man. I think people forget that one cool thing that I've discovered just over the last few years of interviewing people outside of real estate, so different businesses, entrepreneurs, is that even them, they've realized that whatever they're getting into, they can't fully accomplish what they want to without having a sales department or somebody that closes, right? Which means like a lead, a prospect, right? And that just became nutty to me. It's like, wait a second, what we do for a living actually transcends real estate because you need it in every field.
Yeah.
So that was
nothing happens until a sale is made, Tristan. Right? And all the wheels get into motion.
So cool. It's so cool, dude. It's so cool to see.
So lab coat agents. I mean, this is, I mean, you were a famous realtor, but this really put you on the map. I mean, you basically stole the Facebook space. Lab coat agents for some reason. How'd you come up with that name? That's a cool name.
So I'll give you the short history here. At the time, I transitioned out of cold calling and door knocking through the recession, the Great Recession, 08, 09, because that wasn't working as well for me. And I started going to online leads, Google. I did a lot of Craigslist at the time. I don't know if you remember the Craigslist days, Peter. Yeah. Craigslist. And then I discovered Zillow and Realtor.com at the time, 2008, 2009, 2010, 2011. And I was doing so well with the Realtor.com leads that they had me go on camera and say, explain what you're doing from inception to closing. What tools are you using? How are you talking to them? And all of that. They loved it. They showed it to their executives. Their executives said, can this guy go and speak for us at NAR? Because we've got a spot, right? And I said, yeah, I'll go, right? So first time speaking to anybody, I had 10,000 people in a room, and I had to talk about online lead conversion. So I sit there, after I'm done, they're like, can you go and do this for us all across the United States, right? And I'm like, yeah, I'll do it. And then one of those plane flights, I had my wife with me. And I looked over at her and I said, hey, honey, I don't know how long this is going to last. This is fun. I like this. But I'm thinking of starting a blog where I can just explain to people what I do. Very similar to Tech Savvy Agent. I don't know if you remember Tech Savvy Agent with Chris Smith and Steve Passanelli. And she said, why don't you start a Facebook group? And I wasn't really into Facebook that much at the time. So I kind of like, I don't know. Dude, it took me a year to finally listen to her. I started a Facebook group. I sat down in a room with my lead coordinator and I said, hey, this is what I want to do. Let's come up with a name, kind of like, we want to really break down the science of online lead conversion. And, maybe imagine like a lab coat, like scientists, like sitting in a room trying to figure this out, formulas. And he's like lab coat. I'm like, yeah, lab coat agents. And he's like, yeah, exploring the science of real estate. Boom. That was it. That's how it came about.
And it's grown to thousands and thousands of followers.
Yeah. Just on Facebook, we've got 160,000 people, but the community itself, between newsletter, all of our socials, we've got about 500,000 real estate agents. So it's pretty big.
So how have you used that now, and what's going on with that?
Yeah. So for years, it really took me years to figure out how do I.
You've been able to monetize it at all? I mean,
so that was probably the biggest thing, Peter. For years, I couldn't figure out how to use the influence to monetize, right? Because the Facebook group is free. So we really needed to get a lot of this data into a list, so emails. And then we needed to create something to be able to bring people to it. We realized that we should be focused more along the lines of what Facebook and Google do, meaning Facebook and Google both charge for the eyeballs that they bring to the table. So we're like, hey, you know what? We use realtor.com at a high level. We use Google PPC, Facebook lead ads. We do all of this at a high level to get business because we're also a top producing team. So, what tech do we use that we can go out to these companies and say, hey, look, we'll showcase you and show how we use your company. You just have to pay us monthly, right? And we'll showcase how we're using you. And so the very first thing we did was, well, let's go to the companies we're using, ask them if they want to pay us monthly, and we'll just show what we're using them for. And that was the first step right there.
Wow, that's great. And now it's a network. There's
Yeah.
leads and referrals being passed all around.
Now we've got the whole referral side,
People.
affiliates, and we've got products, we got the sponsorship level, and then we've been able to create other companies through that influence. So a Brilliant Tribe, which is a coaching company and community growth for companies.
I love that. Yeah.
Right. We've
Love
got
that.
Drunk on Social, just all social media, right?
Yeah.
Inside and outside of real estate, which by the way, we're inviting you to speak again on the next one. Okay. This was our first year. So
I want to do it for sure.
Yeah.
So let's talk about Success Magazine. What's going on there?
So Success Magazine, I had the opportunity to jump in as their people editor first, which was just helping out on a podcast to interview all of the connections they've got. It's a brand that's 126 years old, and I didn't know that when I came in. Right, I thought it started sometime in the 70s. So it turns out it's a little bit older than that, and they have a connection to all of these amazing people. So they said, hey, Tristan, you've done such a great job growing Lab Code Agents, and you're great at interviewing people. Can you come and help us out and interview some of the people we have on our list? And I said, yeah, I would love to do that. And they said, oh, by the way, we'll also pay you. I said, oh, I'll take that too. Because I was going to do it for free. And then that turned into another opportunity, which was they said, hey, look, you've done such a great job for us for 2 years, and there's an opportunity to run the marketing side. Now that we fully understand what you're doing, which is you run social, you actually understand marketing at a high level, can you come in and help us out and be our CMO? And I was like, yeah, I can do that. I've never, ever had a corporate job before, but I can do it. So they just threw me in there in October of 2022. And now I'm kind of running that whole thing, which includes podcasts, marketing on socials, newsletter, website, everything, dude. So it's fun.
Well, that leads me to my next question, because from afar, it looks like you don't sleep. So let me ask you a question. What motivates you? Because you do so flipping much. I mean, I don't know how you're reading books, you're guest speaking, you're doing podcasts, you're Success Magazine, you've got Lab Code Agent School, you have a real estate business school, and you are insane. You're like running the country practically. So what motivates you? How do you do it? Is it really the notepads that are keeping you working?
The notepads. That's so funny. I ordered another journal, Peter. That's what does it.
It's got to be something.
No, man, it's it first started with the feeling that I had a lot of information and that I needed to give that information out to others. And it was done for free. And that was the original reason. It's like, you know what? I wish that when I started back in 2004, somebody was there giving me all of this information for free so that I could then grow faster. And it's like I'm always talking to a younger version of me. And then from there, it grew into me doing this so routinely that I said, wait a second. I can outdo myself. I think I'm not doing enough. And then, you know what really, really empowers me? All those people and companies out there that are charging for things that should be free. That really pisses me off, dude. And you know what? You're seeing it happen right now, which is with artificial intelligence, ChatGPT, GPT-4, and Dolly, and all these other amazing AI. You're seeing two things happen. One, on the courses and teaching, you're seeing one, they're taking advantage of the situation and charging $1,000, $2,000, $100 per webinar, right? Or per sitting. And then you're seeing me and my team. We're doing this for free. We want our industry and the other industries that we touch, we want them to be able to level up without having to invest money into understanding how AI works and how to work it into your business. It's like, that's our responsibility, Peter. This is what
Yeah.
we're here to do, to help others, because we know and learn it at a higher and faster
Right.
rate than most people. I'm not going to go and charge somebody $100 to teach them how to go on and use Chat GPT. It's like, that pisses me off the most out of
Yeah.
everything. So it's my responsibility to do it for free. And this is what pisses other people off. It's like, why are you doing it for free? I'm like, well, why are you charging? There you
Yeah.
go.
There's other ways to make money. I think there's an old saying, you have to give it away to keep it. And I
That's
think
so
that's true in some cases.
yeah.
Uh,
And this is one of them.
yeah. So you and I are kind of constantly trying to unpack this whole social media concept and figure out how it becomes more business media. We've even talked about renaming it to business media because you can really influence your community. You can really have influence in your sphere. I mean, all of these things and you can do it at a very, very grand level through social media. In other words, you could never pick up the phone and call that many people. You could never,
Yeah.
and talk about free. It is practically free. I mean, we can get great help like Buzzy agents. We can get great help in so many ways, but at the same time, it's basically free.
Yep.
And agents aren't using it, I don't think, as well as they could be. Do you?
No,
What do
not
you
at
think
all.
about social media?
Here's what's happening, and you can see it. You can see it happening in real time. We had the internet pop up in the mid 90s and started growing through AOL and then Yahoo, and then that all happened. You had some companies come in and then companies die out, but there were survivors. Then you had mobile, what is it? Our iPhones. Our iPhones made social media possible to grow at the rate that it did, right? And then you have the survivors who we have now. But even then, you have people that haven't fully adapted into the social media world. And now you're bringing in AI, and they're not even ready for that because they're not even ready. They haven't even adapted to social media. It's like, it's all happening so fast now that people are going to be left behind, way, way behind. And the benefit of you jumping into social media and artificial intelligence right now, it's that it's attraction based. Like, Peter, when you and I started in real estate, we had to go and hunt for our business. It wasn't that we could just post something up there and we could hit thousands, in some cases millions of people, right? The world that you and I live in right now, we can create one piece of content, distribute it, redistribute it multiple times, have it live a long time so that I can be searchable, like places like YouTube. And now all of a sudden we're hitting up millions of people if they find the right search term, or if it gets shared enough, right? So the ability for us to grow through attraction based activities changes the world that we live in. It changes our business. This is why social media is important, because it changes the mindset. It's like, okay, got it. I am now in a different world where I can attract more business if I use social media in a better way. And a lot of us aren't there yet.
It seems like, and I'm totally into it and I'm playing it, but it seems like a really noisy space. I mean, everybody's a talking head now. Everybody's a TikTok dance. Everybody is like, but is everybody, or is it just
No, you're
Some
right.
people.
No, I
And
think
so how do you stand out in this in the crazy social media world?
there's a few things you can do here, and you want to probably write these down. Not you, Peter. You're doing them. Um, Everyone else listening in, you want to write some of these down. There are important things that you have to be paying attention to, and it's always changing. But the couple of things that are working right now, and they've worked in the past. Number one are things that are trending, and I think I learned this from Sunny, by the way, from Buzzy Agent, which is look for things that are trending. A lot of the times we jump into social media and we let it use us. And the language that I hear after is, oh my gosh, I hate Facebook. It's like it's so politicized. It's like, oh, I hate everybody on Instagram is a hater. It's like, wait a second. Did you purposefully jump into social media to treat it like a CRM, like a business? Or and to study and to research, or are you letting it use you? Because Peter, when I jump in, I'm going on Instagram and I'm looking through and I'm trying to identify, ooh, you know what? That's a great video by Peter. I wonder if I could do something similar. I'm going to save that one. Ooh, that's another great video. I'll give you the easiest and dumbest example, Peter. 2 weeks ago, I'm scrolling through on Instagram, or 3 weeks ago, and I find a video by Warren Buffett where he says, you know what, I can solve the deficit problem. It's a 7-second, 8-second video. He's like, I can solve the deficit problem. If you eliminate any payment towards any of the Congress people, if the deficit is in place, that'll solve it. I'm like, oh, that's a great idea. I saved it and I literally remixed it on Instagram. That took me 20 seconds after I messed up twice. And then I'm simply looking at the camera because it's a trending video. I'm looking at the camera. I save it. I smile when Warren Buffett says his thing. I grab the right hashtags, the right title. I upload it. 2 weeks later, I'm at 1.7 million views, 2,000 new Instagram followers, and
Wow.
one possible client from this, right?
Wow.
Because the one thing I didn't do is I didn't tell people, oh yeah, look, I'm in front of a house, check this out. They found that out on their own through finding what I am and what I do through the profile section. So number one, use trending videos as inspiration and you can remix them. Simply just use them. That's number one. Number two, and I did this on TikTok. So that one was on Instagram. You can go watch that one. It's like 1.7 million views. Then
Wow.
TikTok, I simply got a news article about taxes because I think the Republicans put up a tax thing saying, hey, why don't we get rid of the IRS? And I was like, this is a great article. I like this, right? I'd like to get rid of the IRS, right? So I simply grabbed that article, I snapshot it, and I put it as a green screen behind me. And I said, hey guys, can you believe this? It's like, is IRS gonna be gone? That's simply what I said. And then it got 1.5 million views on TikTok with about 3,000 new followers.
Wow.
And so
Wow.
you pay attention to what's trending, both on video, both on news, and you use it, right? And look, Peter, you and I, you're in Malibu. I'm close to Malibu. But if we were going to go in and say, hey, let's target Malibu, let's go in deeper in Malibu when it comes to whatever business we do. Why don't we grab some of the trending things that are happening in Malibu on news, on video, and talk about those? And a
Mm-hmm.
lot of us don't think that. We overthink it. We're like, well, that's too easy. No, it's not. Grab the local news, put it in the background, talk about it. Because the one thing the algorithm loves to do, both on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube, is circulate around the area you're at and identify those people first. And then it'll pepper it to them. And they're like, oh, yeah, I like this. And it's doing the work for you. It's door knocking digitally for you.
Wow. I love that. I love that. So that's pretty cool content creation strategy. What about when you're creating your own content? What are you doing then? Like when you're coming up with your own ideas and messaging?
Yeah, with my own, I typically outline some things. I use a notebook and I'm like, these are great ideas. I outline them and I usually use bullet points. right? And then in the bullet points, I'm like, okay, I'm going to talk about this, this, and this. Let's say it's going to be about the market, about where it's heading, or maybe an interpretation of what's going to happen with real estate after these bank failures, right? Maybe I want to talk about that. And so I'm going to highlight that, and then I'm going to pop up my phone, because really this is all you need. You don't need anything else. I'm going to pop up my phone, and I'm going to record, and then I'm going to upload it to an app called CapCut. Do you use CapCut, Peter? Do you use Viva Video? What do you use?
I use Buzzy Agents.
Well, that was, dude, you simplified it, okay?
I had to. I
That's
just got too much. I don't have nearly as much as you going on, but if I start editing my own videos, I'm in real trouble.
No, that's so funny. You're like, I'm done. Here it is, Sonny. Here it is. Edit it for me. All right. So for those of you editing your own videos and not using Buzzy Agent, by the way, you should. I would use like a CapCut or a Viva Video, but I can tell you it does become cumbersome as you start editing, even on your iPhone. Even though it's easier, if you're doing this continuously, right? On top of, Peter, having to go and talk to clients, writing up an offer, doing an open house, right? Checking on your emails, it gets cumbersome. So I agree with you. I would rather outsource it, right?
Delegate.
Yep, delegate 100%. But every once in a while, I'm still shooting my own videos, and I use CapCut. I use the green screen. So that's
I love it. Well, you're really good at it too, let me tell you. So what would you recommend to agents that are, they don't want to fall behind? They want to get at least started on social media, and then they'll attack AI next. But for now, how would you advise them to get into social?
I'd say wherever you gravitate to, that's where you start. So if it's on Instagram, then you start on Instagram. If you gravitate more towards TikTok, go to TikTok. If it's Facebook, and I know there's a lot of users on Facebook, one thing that is sometimes surprising to people is that Facebook is still growing, right? It's got 2.96 billion active users, and it's growing in comparison to TikTok, which just went stagnant, by the way, because of all of the challenges they're having politically. So Facebook's still growing. So if you gravitate to Facebook, go to what's trending to each platform. I think that's what we overthink too. It's like, well, let's make it easy. If it's Facebook, what's working right now on Facebook? Easy. The very first thing is Reels. Reels is working heavily on Facebook. It's actually rewarding you if you use Reels. If it's Instagram, well, it happens to be the same thing, right? Reels and stories. Do those. And if it's TikTok, well, you have no option. It's just videos, right? Short videos. And if it's YouTube, it's YouTube Shorts. YouTube Shorts are working extremely, extremely well. And LinkedIn.
What about YouTube Live? Are you doing any YouTube Live?
We're doing YouTube Lives, but if I had to compare YouTube Lives to YouTube Shorts are outperforming our I know that this is a podcast, but I'm going to show you really quick on YouTube Studio, just to show you what I'm going to just really share, and I'll go through it too, so those people that are listening in can actually see what's happening. If I go to the back end of YouTube Studio, right, you can see on my screen, these are my analytics. These are just shorts. If I show the shorts, the amount of views, I have 36,000 people have seen my YouTube shorts, 36,000 views with 687 watch time hours, and just from shorts, okay? I have 111 subscribers over the last 28 days and $144 in revenue. And that's just from YouTube Shorts. So shorts are doing quite well. And that would be my strategy if I was going to say, hey, you need to go all in with YouTube. It would be YouTube Shorts.
So what does it mean to be a leader on social, in your opinion? I mean, I think that's something that nobody wants to be lost in the crowd. How do you become a leader?
I think continually showing up, very similar to what you do, Peter. I think it's a mistake we often make is like we need to be on every platform to be a leader. No, it could just be on Instagram. It could just be on YouTube. It could just be on one. But you need to continually show up there, both in you actually going through and seeing what's going on, and also creating the content. Because if I didn't create the remixes and the duets, if I didn't do the green screen, if I didn't show up and use some of the trending audio and show up like you do with great videos, I wouldn't be able to tell you what's working, right? I would just be guessing at that point. And a lot of people are guessing. That's the challenge, right? But here's the thing about guessing. The more you actually do it, the better your guesses get. Like I can tell you right now, Peter, based on us failing so much, I can tell you what doesn't work right now. And I can tell you what works too, right?
Mhm.
So I think
So,
being a leader is just showing up enough in that
so
specific outlet.
I think that you would agree with me that a lot of making money comes from filling a niche or a niche, I guess you say, or providing a great service. You know what I mean? It's like the
Mhm.
dollars come. You know what I mean? But when you're chasing the dollars, it's kind of hard for it to come because you got the cart before the horse, so to speak. I
Yeah.
think it's the same for social too. If you're chasing followers, or you're chasing leadership, it may not come. But if you're providing great content or you're providing a valued service through social media, I sort of have a feeling it's going to find you. Is that your experience,
That
or
is
am
my
I wrong?
experience. That's been my experience with everything I've created, actually, because the challenge has been that it's the opposite of what we typically hear, which is like, no, 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 no. I mean, how many times, Peter, have you gone up to somebody and it's like, okay, great, that's a great idea, but how much money is it going to make us at the end? I'm like, I think you're approaching this the wrong way, especially on social media. It's like on social media, you've got to train people on how you're going to show up because based on the value you're giving, that's what they're going to expect. They're either going to stop and say, you know what? Peter's always giving value. I'm going to stop and listen based
Mhm.
on, well, you know what? Tristan's always spamming me on social. Every time I see it, it's something that's so stupid. I'm just going to scroll right past it. And the challenge becomes you're training people as to whether or not they need to stop the scroll or they need to keep going. And a lot of us don't think of it that way. This is our database. How do you treat your database daily? Right? Part of that is engaging. And I remember listening to Sunny way back. Oh, I think you introduced me to Sunny years ago. This must have been before COVID. And you're like, no, Sunny was like, Tristan, you have a good channel, but you've got to engage people. And I'm like, Tristan, dude, I don't have time to engage all these people. Right. And yeah, he was right. The key to your growth is taking time to engage with everybody.
Yeah.
And you would think it's kind of like the opposite. It's like, no, no, no. But believe it or not, yes. I actually, because of him, I took a step back and I started engaging people. And then I realized, you know what? There is a lot to this. And I created a process for my agents and then the
Mhm.
businesses that we run. It's called LCM.
Mhm.
And I say every day you've got to do 20 minutes of LCM, 20 minutes every day,
Mhm.
20 minutes. And that's as you open up your feed, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, it doesn't matter. If I open up my feed right now and I'm on Facebook, Peter, I'm just going to do it live with you so that I can talk through it with you. The very first person on my screen right now is somebody named April Tucker. I'm going to go through, it shows a picture of her going to an underground museum. And she says, we made it. Time to go 650 feet underground. My job, if I'm LCMing, is to like, I just like the post. Now it's, I'm going to comment. I'm going to comment. I'm going to be like, this is awesome. And now I'm going to message her. This is where we stop typically. Some of us don't even comment, but messaging, what happens is now I'm going to take the time to go into Messenger and say, hey, underground, this is so cool. You've got to tell me what happened, or tell me what happened after. Or what did you enjoy the most? Now
Yeah.
you're going into the psychological part of social media that we never touch. It's like, wait a
Mhm.
second, Peter, if we're real with ourselves, why did I just take the time to post something? Did I take
Mhm.
the time to post something so nobody's going to like it? No,
Mhm.
you wanted to post so people comment, so people like, so people can engage with it. We're falling right into what they want us to do. Now the fact that I messaged her on top of this, she's going to be like, "Oh, this is cool." Messaging me back now. 95% of the people I message me back because they posted something, so they're on the social platform, right?
Mhm.
Now I message them, they message me back. Guess what happens next? They go to my profile and they see what's Tristan up to. And as soon as that happens, I hack the algorithm because now I'm going to show up on their feed for the next few minutes, right? So it all comes down to how are you engaging with people? And this is why we do it 20 minutes a day. Like, comment, message on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn.
Wow. That was a great tip. Your Brilliant Thoughts podcast. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, for sure. So Brilliant Thoughts, I get to interview some amazing entrepreneurs, some amazing leaders, and that's through Success Magazine. And if you haven't listened to it, go ahead and listen to it. Everyone jump into there. It's Brilliant Thoughts. And I'll tell you some things that I've learned there. Just it's things that we always hear through leaders like Peter, right? Through other leaders in our world. It's like, hey, it's consistency, guys. It's showing up all the time. It's not giving up because you're continually changing and adapting to what you thought it was going to look like. Now it changed, but you adapted as well, right? It's all of the same stories, but through different inspirations. So I'll give you one of the latest ones that I loved. I got to interview the creator of Grubhub, Mike Urban. And I didn't know that he had created this whole world. I honestly thought it was DoorDash first, right? And so Mike Urban was telling me, no, Tristan, that was my idea. I created this, right? And we were talking. He's like, hey, I used to work as a developer in a real estate company on the back end. We built websites. I'm like, no way, right? He's like, one time after MIT, I'm sitting in Chicago in a room, and I'm like, I'm hungry, and I want pizza. And nobody would deliver pizza. And that's when I started just coding on the side. I'm like, you know what? I can make this better. And so just stories like that inspire us. It's like,
Wow.
It's so simple, right?
Like acting on an idea, which you did when you finally started Left Code Agents. It's so cool. It's so cool.
Yeah.
Like so many ideas that aren't acted on.
Yeah.
People just need to try these things and throw them out there and see what happens.
But we're scared. We're also scared of failing, Peter. We're also scared of things not panning out.
How about looking bad? Afraid of looking bad.
That's all that comes down to. And guess what that is? I mean, it's all ego. Like I have it.
Right.
Like I'm like, dude, why? I don't know if I want to try that, because then if it doesn't work, people will see it and they may think differently of me, right?
Yeah.
It becomes a challenge, buddy. It becomes a challenge.
Hey, well, it's been so really wonderful to have you on the podcast, but I want to ask you about SocialCon 2023, an opportunity. This is coming up, right?
Yes. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for bringing it up. So SocialCon is in Los Angeles, the Hyatt at LAX, and we would have loved to have you. We're sorry you can't make it this year, but
it's Nunny's 95th birthday. Otherwise, I'd be there, Tristan.
Yeah, no problem, dude. But we just want to know we love you. Okay, we love you.
Thank you.
And SocialCon, we're bringing in some of the biggest influencers out there. We're bringing in London Lazarson. He's got 10 million followers on TikTok. We're bringing in Austin Armstrong, where for us, it's really cool because you don't usually see somebody that's blown up on every channel. You might want, I'll connect you to Austin, Peter, because in August, Austin decided to take on YouTube because he hadn't taken on YouTube. And he went from just posting YouTube shorts. He went from 3,000 subscribers to, at the end of the month, to 300,000. But it all happened in 2 days. And he showed me what YouTube short that was that blew it up. Now he's got like 600,000 subscribers in like 7 months. But things like that he shows you step by step, real influencers, and we have other ones that have millions of followers, but they're going to break down the things that have worked for them, the things that work for us, for businesses, how to treat social media more like a business and using it to attract more. So that's in short. You can visit socialcon2023.com, get a ticket to LAX April 3rd and April 4th.
Yeah, don't miss that. Tristan, just to close, one of the things I admire about you so much is, how you're always learning and reading and studying, and you're just such a student of life and human performance. And that I admire.
Because at the end of the day, you know, we're given whatever we're given with, right? And then it's what we do with it and what we make of it that counts.
Mm.
And I don't think we were put on this earth to let it stagnate or bury it underground. We're here to multiply it and to grow it and to be the best versions of ourselves we can. I'm sure that's God's purpose for us. So to me, I see that in you, and I applaud it, and I thank you so much. You're such an inspiring gentleman, and for you to take the time to be with me today, I just want to say thank you.
Dude, I'm blessed to be here and know you, bro. You know I'm a big Peter fan, so thank you for inviting me.
Goes both ways.
Thanks,
That's
brother.
a wrap.
Thanks.